Okay guys, so today I have some gameplay review for you. It is White Forest Pure versus Mitsurugi. This is not a deck profile, I just want to give you a brief overview of what I'm playing so you know what to expect in the matchup. This is basically a mixture of Rehan's first place Toronto Regional, or whatever it was called, and how I normally play Pure. So I chose to test the 2 Esteller and the 3 Thrust in the main deck, and then everything else is pretty much how I was playing the deck before. A couple notable things here are that I do like to play at least one in-archetype ceiling card in the side deck, because you have to take out the Fool Loss regardless. And I like just having something else that's searchable and it gives me a different type of layer, so my woes is always there. Dragon's Mind, people are now playing at 1 pretty often in White Forest because it gives you a lot of flex on your Foolish Burial Goods, where you have a choice between dumping Black Goat Laughs if you already have access to the Diabelle's Vengeance engine, or also just dumping the Dragon's Mind, because you can pay 2,500 life points to set this while it's in the graveyard, but then banish it when it leaves the field. And the actual effect is basically an Omni Negate as long as you control a monster with 2,500 original attack and defense, which is most of our boss monsters. So this is basically the list, and now let us get straight into the gameplay. Okay, so game 1. I open a very awkward hand here, but I have won the dice roll, so I will start my turn by going azette as my first action, and I pitch Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. The opponent will chain Ash here. So if you take a look at the rest of my hand, we don't actually have anything good. So the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest will be able to reset itself because it was sent as cost. And the only play that I have is to summon Elzette Azamina off of its own effect, or normal summon it, and then try to use her on-field effect to fuse, because, you know, this is an illusion monster, this is a light spellcaster. You know, I could, for example, try to make a Murcielago and then get a Sinful Spoils card that way, and maybe try to have like at least an Omni Negate or something on field. Yeah, but it's not looking good, basically. It's not looking good. So here I summon the Azamina Elzette, and I will declare her effect to fuse here. The opponent goes Chainlink to Imperm. So now, if we take stock of the current situation, I basically just have Sinful Spoils of the White Forest for something like a Guardian Chimera out of turn. I am not playing... Let's see. I'm not playing Saint Azamina here, but I guess I could also make Sol. That is one option, because I have a Fiend in hand. And then technically, I guess I could make more Regina, but I don't think there's a reason to do that. So it basically is Guardian Chimera or Sol here. And I'm worried about my follow-up, because if I use this card and I don't draw into a spell and trap, then the Elzette of the White Forest will be dead. So my opponent will begin by normal summoning Sagi and declaring effect. Now, what I like to say is, if you feel like you're very far behind, you know, like look at how bad of a situation we're in right now, you kind of just have to send it at the first thing they do, because if their hand is even just okay, you are not going to beat an okay hand when you're coming from a very far behind position. So oftentimes, if I'm very far behind, I'll just say like, okay, if they have any extender, if they have even just an okay hand, I'm going to lose. But if they have low rolled as well, then, you know, we have a chance to even things out. So I go Chainlink to Ash here, but he does have the cross out for the Ash, and so the Sagi will resolve anyhow, and he searches for the prayers. So in this position, I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable, and I'm wondering if maybe I should try to Guardian Chimera to draw into some hand traps here. But I wait to see what he's going to do with the prayers, like what his next move is going to be, and he adds the Murakumo. So I'm thinking, if he has Murakumo in hand and he has Mitsurugi Ritual, I have to use my Sinful Spoils of the White Forest immediately. Because if I, for example, make a Guardian Chimera to draw 2, I will have no cards in hand when the Guardian Chimera is attempting to resolve, and the Murakumo can just go Chainlink 2 or 3 or whatever, and then I will have nothing to discard, and my Guardian Chimera will fizzle. So I don't really value going for a Sol here, because just sending this card doesn't really do anything. Like if he just brings out the Murakumo anyhow, and, you know, he tributes his whatever monsters and he goes off, the Sol sending a used Sagi doesn't accomplish anything. So I'm thinking that I in particular need the draw too. So I'm like, okay, on res, before he's able to activate the ritual spell and get that Murakumo to fizzle my Chimera, I'm just going to go Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, use my entire hand and field, and summon Guardian Chimera. So here I draw into Esteller and Philia Diabelle, and now the opponent will, in fact, activate the Mitsurugi Ritual, which is what I was worried about, and he is going to tribute... Wait, did I see this correctly? Is he tributing the Sagi from field? Okay, I guess I'm not sure what list he was on, and I can't go back right now, but I'm just wondering why he didn't use materials exclusively from the deck. I guess that would reveal kind of what he's on. Maybe he's on like a Ryzeal type build. So anyhow, the Murakumo will then get to wipe the board. He gets to add back the ritual spell. He gets to add the Habakiri. So now he will go Mitsurugi Ritual into the Habakiri here. And so he adds back prayers. He summons out the Murakumo. Now he goes battle phase and passes turn here. So I think that the set card is another prayers that he searched, right? Unless I don't remember correctly. So if I take stock of the current situation here, he basically, as far as I know, just has the Murakumo in rotation, which is not bad in this somewhat simplified game state, So he's going to make me discard one, presumably, and then he also has access to turning this into a Raigeki. So I'm looking at my hand right now, and I know that I have a spell and I have a trap, so the Vengeance should be live. Preferably, it'll be live with another Diabell Star monster on field so that I can get the summon. And I'm trying to think about, is there a way to OTK here? So how can I bait out, interactions or whatever? I'm going to start by activating the Ephilia and specialing the Diabell's the White Witch from the deck here. And my idea is if I dump a Wanted, I'm still going to have spells engrave, but I can banish the Wanted to put back Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, see what I draw before deciding exactly what I want to do, because I still have access to the Vengeance. And there's nothing that's stopping me from summoning a Stellar if you uses his board wipe early, pitching the Curse of Diabell, which will put the trap in grave for Vengeance, and then being able to get into a ladder that way. So I'm just trying to, use some things that don't need to resolve first and see what happens. So now I activate Wanted, I put back Sinful Spoils, the White Forest, and I draw into another Wanted. So now he draws me here, which is actually not the worst thing in the world, considering that I already have the Vengeance thing set up. But it kind of sucks because if I was somehow able to bait the Raigeki off the Murakumo and then summon a Stellar afterwards, I obviously would want to search off of the Sylvie. So, it's not good for me to get drolled. It's just that I have some plays here. So I chain the Wanted and I search for the Black Witch here. Now I will normal summon the Esteller. And here he chooses to go for prayers, which is interesting. I feel like he's probably doing this because he thinks I'm going to make a Chaos Angel. Because obviously my other play was I could Esteller, pitch the Curse of Diabell, try to summon a Sylvie, and then he would, I can't search off the Sylvie because I'm under Droll, and he would Raigeki me there. But anyhow, he chooses to bring out the Murakumo and wipe the board here, but I have sequenced my plays in such a way that after waiting to see as much information as possible, so I get the one to draw, I draw into another Wanted, okay? So that allows me to decide to sequence it in a way where he's kind of incentivized to stop a potential Chaos Angel, but I keep a Diabell Star or a Diabell Monster so that my Vengeance should be live when I bring it out of the graveyard. So now I can Witch pitching the Curse of Diabell, and then I'm basically hoping here, actually, that he's going to use the Murakumo and fizzle my Black Witch. And he has to either a Murakumo here or he has to Murakumo after I set. So it's not like he's actually, he probably is making a mistake in the sense that he should have waited to see what I was going to set first, because obviously the actual win condition for me is summoning Vengeance with another Diabell on field. But if he does not fizzle my Diabell Star Black Witch here, I'm going to set the Subversion, and then I'm going to Subversion the Murakumo, and he has to Murakumo the Subversion, and then I still get the Vengeance out of grave. So even though I think he maybe technically made a mistake here by doing this a little bit too early, it doesn't change the outcome of the game, because he would have been forced to use it on the Subversion anyhow. Okay, so now I can bring out my Vengeance by banishing the Curse and the Philia. I'm going to use the Philia's effect to boost my guy's attacks, but I also am losing 800 attack all the time. Okay, so now I'm going to Vengeance and pop the Murakumo and bring out Poplar. So one of the really cool things about having flex spots in this deck is that you can do plays like bring out Poplar, especially on the crackback. A little bit less so out of turn, but especially on the crackback, because now I can Poplar, I can place 2, which you normally don't really want to do out of turn, because usually in your standard ladder, you're going to have something like a Sylvie and an Elzette in your grave, which you want in your grave. You want the Elzette to be there to add herself back to hand, and you want the Sylvie to be able to summon herself out either to dodge something or just as part of your regular resource economy. So you don't actually want those cards stuck there, but when it's your turn, it doesn't matter, because as soon as you place them off of the Poplar of the White Forest, you can immediately use them to contact fuse into Snake Eyes Doom Dragon, and now the Doom Dragon can push back whatever is left on field. So if we take a look at what's on our field right now, we have 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, and then 700. So obviously we can just swing for game. And so yeah, we had a very bad start. He didn't have, I guess, the best hand. And so I'm just showing you the sequence that I went through to try to push through that board and how I identified what my win conditions were and how to try to bait my opponent as much as possible before falling back on my win condition. Okay, so I win game 1 and now we go to game 2. So the opponent has chosen to go first. Obviously, they've hard drawn the Mitsurugi Ritual and the Murakumo, and they're going to Ritual tribute the Aramasa and the Saji from deck to bring out the Murakumo. I happen to have a Droll and an Ash in my hand. So I Ash the Saji, which I think is a mistake because... So he hasn't used his normal summon yet, right? Like worst case scenario, if he had no way to get back to Ritual... Surely he could just Aramasa to get anything. Even if he just searched for a Kusanagi immediately, the Kusanagi could just give him back the ritual. So I think this is a bad Ash, and I'm just not paying attention here. Because if you read the Mitsurugi cards, their tributing effect says if this card is tributed, you can add one Mitsurugi card from your deck to your hand except itself, then you can special summon this card. So first of all, this does not even work under Droll. If you tribute this, because you have to search before you summon it back, it means that because you can't search, you can't do the summon back. Similarly, even if I didn't have Droll in hand, I could Ash this effect, and this would neither search nor bring itself back. So this was honestly just, I'm just autopiloting here, and I'm not paying attention. So this is a pretty poor Ash, I would say. Anyhow, so he gets back the prayers here, and now I'm going to Droll, which is like, now I'm looking especially stupid, right? Because... why didn't I just Droll? Because it's the same thing. I'm just Drolling him after he searches. And now he's going to go Chainlink 2 Murakumo to where I have to discard, otherwise my Droll fizzles. And now I'm discarding Engine, which I don't want to do. Whereas I could have Drolled, and then when I have to discard, I can just discard the Ash, for example, and keep all the Engine in my hand if I want to play it that way. So I played this very inefficiently. So now he normal summons the Kusanagi, and he adds back the Saji. And he passes turn. Wait. So I think he's passing turn because if he normal summons Kusanagi and he adds back Ritual instead, he can't Ritual to tribute the Murakumo to bring out the Habakiri because the Murakumo won't search and therefore won't bring itself back. And so he's choosing to Kusanagi to add back the Saji so he has follow-up instead. And he's hoping that in a simplified game state where I'm on 2 cards, soon to be 3, he can beat me with the Murakumo, making me discard along with a Raigeki. Which honestly may happen in a lot of games. So now I draw Called By, and I'm looking at the cards in my hand here, and I'm like, if for some reason he were to tribute the Murakumo, I could Call By it, but really I need these 2 cards to resolve. So I start by activating Witch of the White Forest. There's no way that I can afford to, pitch an unused Witch from my hand. I need to get as much card economy as possible from every single thing that I have access to. So here I'm going to Witch of the White Forest, and I'm going to search for an Esteller because I believe that he is going to be baited here by this Esteller. So I normal summon the Esteller, I declare the effect, I send the Witch for cost, so he will go Chainlink 2 here on the Murakumo, and I guess I have a decision to make here. I could pitch the azette instead of the Called By, but I decide, I'm in a bad position. I have to kind of hope he doesn't have additional hand traps and stuff like that, and he's basically playing on Engine, and he had to stop playing because of Droll, but he doesn't actually have a lot of non-Engine. And so I'm going to play a little bit greedily here, and I am going to discard the Called By, assuming/hoping that the Sylvie will resolve, giving me a spell or trap that will make my Elzette live, because right now my Elzette is not live. So my Sylvie does in fact resolve. I search for the tails, so now whatever happens here, my Elzette is live. Now this is a very important choke point, because now that I have a level 4 tuner and a level 2 non-tuner, is when I could immediately go for like a Silvera, for example, and book his entire field, and then obviously doing double piercing damage puts him in a spot where he could be OTK'd pretty easily. So he's almost like forced to respond here, and so he's going to choose to prayers, and he's going to search for the Habakiri. He's going to bring out the Saji, which will give him another search, and then Murakumo can come back on a new chain. So he searches for the Purification, the Omni-Negate Trap, and he brings back the Murakumo, and he wipes the field. So again, taking stock of what's happening right now, is if I do not kill him, I lose this game. or I somehow have to build the most insane board. But he's used the Raigeki effect. He has used the forcing me to discard effect. And now I have Azette and Tails in hand. So I pitch the Tails, I summon Azette, I search for a Witch of the White Forest. This triggers my Esteller, and it triggers my Tails of the White Forest. So those two cards come back onto the field. I don't want to Tails. So one other option I could have done here, instead of sending Tails to summon Diabelle's the White Witch and get my Vengeance stuff live here, I could have Tails to search for Azamina Elzette and then use those to go into like a Murcielago. And then the Murcielago could have searched for another spell, like a Wanted. Wanted could have searched for the Black Witch. Black Witch could have sent, for example, in a Stellar, set something, and I would still end up with a Speller Trap to send off of Diabelle's the White Witch. But I was thinking I might be playing into more stuff if I overcomplicate the game state. And so instead, I just want to go immediately for Diabelle's into the Vengeance stuff. So I Diabelle's, I pitch Curse. Curse gives me Philia. Philia gives me Vengeance. Now I will summon the Vengeance by banishing the Philia and the Curse and boost my monsters by 500. Now I will use the Vengeance to pop the Sagi because this has the most defense. And I'm planning on bringing out the Silvera Wolf Tamer. I think, actually, let me just double check how the Poplar effect works. Can I do the same? Target 2 White Forest monsters in your graveyard, place them face up. Okay, so you actually can place 2 of the same name. They don't have to have different names. So one other option was to summon the Poplar of the White Forest. Poplar, place both Sylvies. Both Sylvies contact fuse into the Doom Dragon. Doom Dragon, pushback, whatever. Like the Murakumo. And then the Doom Dragon and the Poplar and everything could either attack or I could go into the Execute Dragon, for example. But I decided to go for this line. So if I book his monsters and I attack for double piercing on the Murakumo because it only has 800 defense, then I could run over the Kusanagi, attack directly, and now I can shuffle back the Silvera to bring out the Sylvie and attack for game. So, yeah. So that's a 2-0 against Mitsurugi, and I'll show you really quick the deck list. I probably will do some more gameplay analysis because I have some other cool gameplay to show. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. If you're not subscribed, you don't have to, but it'd be a lot cooler if you did. Thanks for watching.